up until this far, I have the one and only Mr. Paul Wangari. But right before I introduce to you Mr. Paul, we've had an amazing conversation on the journey to justice. Please be sure to check out that film. Keep tuned in to KUTV. You will find it right here. Let's see the journey to justice by that amazing team. We get to talk about men's mental health and SGBV against men. Men do go through these things as well. Men get beaten, men get emotionally abused, and hence some of these things lead to depression. But it is not my place to talk about this. I have Mr. Paul Wangari. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Unahisiaje asubuhi ya leo?
It is fantastic.
Fantastic.
You know, it is June, July, cold, but not yet there.
Bado hujafika. Tuko kwa tiza. Tuko kwa trailer ya baridi.
Yeah,
it's good to have you here once again.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Tell us, who is Mr. Paul right before we get into the conversation?
Well, Paul Wangari is an amazing young man, passionate about young people. I am a counseling psychologist by profession. More to that, I'm also an author. I've written 3 books. Time management for winning grades, going beyond excuses, and sex and teenagers. And currently, with my good friend Kagondo Jr., we're working on a beautiful book called Becoming a Man. And I believe it shall be out soon, especially to help our boy child, whom we think is in a lot of problems. Yes, actually,
that's one of the reasons why we have this conversation.
Yes.
It is said that in every 4 individuals, one is suffering from a mental illness.
Exactly.
And most likely it is depression.
Yes.
How can you identify a depressed man?
In fact, you know, they're saying that 10% of our adult population in Kenya are suffering from mental health disorder. That's to mean that 50% of these cases started before the age of 14.
What?
You know, yes. And 45% of our teenagers and 13% of our kids are likely to suffer from mental health disorder. So this is a problem that is there, you know. And actually, you know, what is shocking now we're saying about white men, you know, is that amongst the 421 cases that were reported back in 2017, 330 of them were among men, you know, who committed suicide. So we have a big problem in this country and also in Africa, but also globally, something which need to be addressed. Yes. So your question again, how can we?
How do I identify a depressed man? Because men don't speak, men don't show their emotion. It's hard for you to find a man sitting in a corner crying because they are depressed. So how can I tell that this man is not okay? This man is suffering from a mental illness.
Well, there are various ways, you know, and you know, I get excited when I hear about that question because, you know, I'm a counselor and I get men who come to my office and we discuss this. Men go through a lot of issues, you know, to start with, and it doesn't start when a man is old enough. You know, it starts when that boy, you know, when he was growing up. Perhaps he witnessed, you know, violence in the family. You know, he witnessed gender-based violence in the family. You know, of the father, you know, against the mother, or the mother against the father. And therefore, this boy grew up with that kind of environment, and therefore, it happened that it will trickle down to him, you know, when he becomes a man. You know, and now, how do you notice that a man is going through depression? One, this man will be very, very isolated. You know, he won't want anything to do with other people. You know, other thing that you find, this man is very agitated. You know, always something very small, he get exactly. The other thing you find that this man is no longer doing their duties at work. Maybe he's skipping work, you know, without an apparent reason. You know, this man is not supportive of the family. Most of his money he spends elsewhere, and more so in the bar. You know, this man who was once very jovial in the family is no longer there. Yeah, so these are just among the symptoms that you're able to see that this man is going through something. Exactly.
Now that we have identified this man is no longer doing things as he used to, how do you approach this person? What approach do you take when you are approaching this individual who has all these signs and symptoms?
Now, like what you're saying, you know, stereotyping that a man should not seek help. You know, men should not talk about their issues. You know, like I said, I deal with mostly young people and young men. And one thing that I always encourage them is that you know, we need to speak out, because the moment we speak out, just like the way you go to a doctor, you know, when you're sick, when you have a flu and you get some medication, the same thing that men also need to do. You need to speak out. You know, you need to seek a profession. You know, and now to support this kind of man is that to be there for them. You know, and also try to speak to them. Let them speak and listen. You know, because there's what we say, there is hearing and listening. You know, and you know, they say that everyone can be a counselor, but so when you go to school, just like you go to journalism, you know, to study, there's all skills that you're able to learn. One of the things that we learn in psychology is that you need to have the active listening, and many people don't.
Big ears,
exactly, and a very small mouth. Yes, exactly. And therefore that means what? That men, no one is listening to men. You know, when they go home, you know, it's just about the woman who want to speak.
Why is no one listening to men?
Exactly, because we think that men is there to be present or to solve the problem of everyone else. You know, but you never ask who is sorting out the issues of this man. So when I go home, you know, when I go home and maybe have a wife, and now that when I go there, the woman is not there to listen to me. I'm there to listen to her. Exactly. You know, they say that when you compare the words of a woman and a man,
a woman speaks 1,000 words compared to the 100 words of a man.
Exactly. So I think it's high time then, therefore, we tend now to learn, you know, and especially our sisters and our mothers and our wives and girlfriends, whoever, that we need to, these men also need to be listened to. You let him talk. Sometimes, you know, a man, all he wants is someone to listen to, you know, someone just to hold him, you know, and let him be. But now when we do that, you know, somewhere we are mistaken.
You have intentions.
And also that also is a sign of weakness. You know, that when a man comes and holds you and start crying, you are like, what is going on with this big baby? Exactly, you know. But also men also have this, and also they also need
they have emotions. They're human beings.
Exactly, and they need also help.
Some of these behaviors, most men learned them growing up.
Exactly.
So how do you start a process whereby they start unlearning and relearning the behavior of now I can speak up, I can cry, I can express?
I think the good place to start is when these boys are young. You know, like last week I was at Kiagodo Boys and speaking to those boys, and next Sunday I'll be at Kidumu Boys speaking to these young men. I think it is high time we start from there. You know, we start not to tell these young men as they're growing up. You know, it is okay not to be okay. It is okay for a man to cry. It is okay for a man to seek help. It is okay to express yourself. It is not a sign of weakness. It is not that you can umama, you know, that you know when you speak, you know. It is that, you know, that you know you have big mouth, that you know when you and that you know you are acting like a lady and all this, you know. It's a high time that we start telling these young men that when you are growing up, you should never shy with your emotions. When something is not right, can you speak out? Can you sort it out? You know. And also we also talk to our parents, you know, who are exposing these young men, you know, to violence at home. And like I said, most of the problem that emanates from when this boy grew up seeing what was happening at home, he tends now to do the same when now he gets there, because he believes that that's the only way to solve issues. All right. And therefore when we start when they are young, and then we tell them that this is how to live with a woman, you ought to respect a woman, you know, you ought to respect her rights, you know, and to see her as someone who is variable, someone who has equal rights, you know, whom you should not be beaten, should not be battered. And then therefore we are then able to actually solve this problem when these men become older. But now when they are big, they're already big. Exactly, they're already grown up. I think the best place now to start is to start a sensitization, you know, whereby now we start teaching men, you know, that also it is okay not to be okay, and then you need to seek help. You know, you need to seek a counselor, therapy, which is very important. And I'm very grateful, because right now I see many men coming to our offices in Thika, and they are speaking out, you know, right? And then the other thing that we need to do is that also to empower them. You know, some of them, they believe that because of the traditions that you know, a woman should be battered. Now they also believe that it's okay, you know, to beat a woman. And therefore, now when we start from there, we are going to solve this problem. Yes. As
a society, what is it we can do different as a society?
I think it's just to know that it is barbaric, you know, to batter a woman. It is not right for a woman to batter a man, because we also have the same the same issue as well. And therefore, now when we start from there, we're able now to educate our people, you know, that violence never solves anything. In any case, it makes things worse. Because the moment you batter a woman and by mistake you hit her and she die, or the other way, you know, we have seen women who stabbing men, you know, and when you have this, what are the consequences? Then you're going to go to prison, something which could have been solved. What example are you setting to other young men and girls out there? What kind of trauma are you leaving to the children that you have left behind? So I think it is high time now we start now thinking, what are the repercussions that comes with violence in our homes? And then when we start from there, we're able now to solve this issue as well. Yes.
So aside from things like SGBV against men being one of the factors that lead towards, you know, depression, what other factors are these that are leading to men getting into a depressed state?
Well, you know, Corona actually revealed the same, you know, and it unmasked a lot of issues because when we are growing up, you know, there's that wound. If a boy was wounded when he was young, or when a kid was wounded when he was young, for example, if between 1 to 3 years this kid was deprived love and support and attention, then it happens that it will trickle down when this person is grown up. So there is a wound that this man has since he was young. Now we need to heal that, all right? And then of course the other thing is that we need also to come out, you know, and ask ourselves, what then are we able to do as a society to be able to avert these issues? You know, and then look at joblessness, you know, economical challenges. A man is expected to provide in the family. No one thinks that a man sometimes lack, you know.
He also needs to be provided for sometimes.
Exactly, yes. It's not always that a man is the one to provide everything. Sometimes a man lacks, and that's why we see the number of men who commit suicide or in depression compared to women, it is high. The number of men who are committing suicide, it is higher than women. Why? Because now this man is the provider of the home. He is supposed to pay rent. He's supposed to pay school fees for the kids. He's supposed to
listen to everyone in the
and
house,
to groom this woman as well, to make her beautiful and good. And therefore, when now it reaches a point that he doesn't do this, what happens to this man? He thinks that he's weak. He thinks that he's not able. And therefore, what happens that he now goes to depression, and now it becomes a problem. We have now another problem with young men. You know, when they break up, they don't know how to deal with it.
With the no.
They think that the world is coming to an end. All right? That this person, and it's very sad, I'm telling you. It is very sad, and every time I speak to young men, I always tell them this, you know, that this person, you should never invest 100% in your girlfriend as if he's your sister or your wife. All right? Exactly. And you're pouring all your heart to this woman, and maybe she's not even interested in you. She's interested in what you have. All right? And therefore, when you do that, when you know this breakup comes up, you know, this man is crushed. All right? And therefore he doesn't know how to handle this. And because of the stereotyping that men should not seek help, men should not talk, what do? They think the best way to do is to take revenge. And how do they do it? They do it in very destructive way. They kill, you know, they destroy, and they do all these things, you know. So I think now as a society, you know, that's where that's the direction we need to go. That men also are going through challenges. There are so many other reasons, you know, that's why men are depressed. But also now we need now to speak up and know that men also can go through these challenges, and then we give them support.
My first guest is a guest who is differently abled.
Yes.
And he's shared with, I'm sure you've seen the story.
He's just an excellent man.
He's an excellent man, yes.
Exactly,
He shared with us his story about even the times he's attempted suicide more than 3 times. Basically because sometimes he felt like because he's differently abled, he's done, he's finished. Do you ever come across such situations? And if so, how do you deal with them? Like, this man is going through depression, but it is because of something that he cannot even change.
I think yes, I have those cases, and there are several. All right, what happens when a man reaches there? You know, it is because his self-esteem is so low. All right, that now either his self-esteem is so low, he is hopeless, and he feels that there is no help that can come to him, and therefore the best way he thinks to do is to escape from this quagmire, this situation.
He's running away from himself.
Exactly. And now what we normally say, and I always say this, that, you know, when you solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution, then there is a problem with that, because now these men, what they do, they now tend to commit suicide. All right, as a result, you know, as an escape to whatever they are going through. All right. So the first thing is, for example, for Mr. Excellence, a good man, he has accepted himself. And the moment you accept yourself, then your mind is able to open up to possibilities of how to solve this problem. Remember, someone goes through depression. Why? It is started as a stress. something very small. If something disturbs you, it doesn't give you peace, no matter how small it is. But again, it starts repeating in your mind, and you always say, no matter how small the problem is, if it is causing you stress, it is big enough, and therefore it needs to be addressed.
Solved, yes.
Right? Because if you don't do it, depression is a result of piled continuous stress. All right, that now develop to depression.
Yeah.
Right? So the first thing is that I know when you have a problem, can you speak out? No matter how small it is giving you sleepless night, it is a problem. All right. The other thing is that now when you get now to depression, what do? Then you need now to seek, of course, professional help. All right. And the moment you do that, then you are going to find that help is going to come your way.
Now we have factors back to sexual and gender-based violence.
Yes.
There's men who are being battered out there. There's men who are being emotionally traumatized. They're going through trauma emotionally.
Yes.
They are going through it. They're
Exactly.
going through SGBV as men. What should these men do?
Now, when people think of sexual violence, they think it is a man who is doing it against a woman. All right, and they think maybe it's rape, it is forcing. But the other way it also happens, that when you are married to a woman, and then she deprives you sex, that is sexual violence. It is an abuse. Yes. Why? Because exactly.
Okay.
This is your wife. Remember, sex is something very, very special in a marriage. Listen to me well, and I like the look. Yes. Okay. So when now you are married, okay, one of the things that's supposed to be in present in that marriage, it is intimacy. Remember, GBV is also called IPV. Intimate partner violence. Yes. All right. When now there is no provision of this in the marriage, what do we call that? This woman is doing it as a way to make this man suffer. All right.
Okay.
Exactly. So I also want us to think, and people also.
I really want to argue as a woman, but I also want to listen to you.
Yeah, please do listen to me. All right. Exactly. Yes. All right. Because because there is. You're doing this as a way to punish this man. All right. And this man is so vulnerable because he loves you and he loves the kids and the family, and he wants to support and to be there. All right. And you're not doing this because of any other reason. Remember, you can be sick and you can be having those days and everything. But now you're doing it intentionally to punish him because maybe he has not given you money for hair.
But have you tried to find out why she's doing that?
No, that's what I'm telling you. There could be factors, but as a way to punish this man. All right. That's why we are saying it is not against. All right. So yes. Men, when now they go through this violence, in families, and there are various ways, that we also have men, who are forced. Men, young boys who are violated by older women.
Yeah, and even older men.
And older men, exactly. Yeah. So I think then, as a society, we need then to educate ourselves and actually to tell people to speak out. Let help be available. And I'm so grateful because actually, UN with a certain organization, they have even hotlines that even men can go and speak out. Someone doesn't have to suffer there at home. You can dial 1195 and then you are going to get assistance.
They help you.
Exactly. Even though in our police station you have customer care desk, wherefore you are able to report these cases because they say.
No, finish.
Because they say, when you go to police, they intimidate you, especially as a man. But they have always done that in the past. But right now, the good things is that we have a special desk, where they don't discriminate you. Either you're a man or a woman, they will not speak back to you. They are going to give you the attention
in every police station.
Exactly. They're going to know to give you the attention that you require without not feeling intimidated. And that's why we have men who are battered, who men go through GBV and IPV, and then they are not able to speak out because when they go to the police station, they are intimidated. When they speak to their friends, then they are told that they are laughed at. Exactly. And they're told mwanaume ni jikazi na mwanaume ni voice, unawezaje pigwa na mwanamke kwa nyumba, unawezaje nyimwa, on all those things. Exactly. So the help is there. Help is there. And that's what I want to encourage our men. Can we speak out? Can we go out? Can we seek this help? Because help is available. I have seen several men come to my office, and we're able to go through this with them, and we're able then to find solution. Yes.
We have men who walk out here, and they most likely went through molestation when they were young, and they never had someone to talk to.
Yes.
And most of them tend to, they have, can we call it PTSD?
Exactly.
They have PTSD to this moment. How do you deal with such issues? Maybe your partner went through such a situation when they were younger, and then your partner sometimes is violent, your partner sometimes behaves differently, behaves weirdly, and you do not, you as the female partner, I don't know what he went through. Maybe he's never felt comfortable to share with me the things that he went through when he was younger. How are you, me as a woman, or me, anyone out there, how are you able to get it out of the person so that you can be able to help them? Like, when I notice, you've been different.
Yes.
What is this that is making you different? How are you able to get it out of this man to be able to speak up and even probably go for therapy?
I think the first thing start is that where to start this from is that when you're getting married to someone, you know, it is important. And it's very sad nowadays because people meet in campuses, people meet in on the street, in towns, and they fall in love, and the next thing is that they have a kid, and because of that now they are compromised. They have to marry this person. They have not married their friend, right? So when now you do it, you start it wrong. There will be no openness in that marriage, in that relationship, right? So my advice is first, you know, get married to someone who is your friend, you know, someone who you're comfortable with, someone, you know, when you're having intimate, you know, they say that when you get into a marriage, you become one. What does that mean? That one means that there is nothing that is yours that is not hers. There's nothing that is hers that is not yours. So even in your heart, you know, if you can share the body, what other more can you share with this person? Right? And that means what? No, when we get married to our friends and to our best friends, and we have not just love, but there is that connection between us, then you are able not to notice that, hey, my babe has a problem, and now you're able not to ask him or her what is going on. And then because they know, they trust you, you know, they're able to share and tell you, by the way, this is how it has been. All right. If it is not, then you see, because people are different, and there are men who may not even be able to speak out to their wife, right? Because maybe they're going to get a bad view of them. It is there as a woman, when you notice your man has a problem, then can you advise him to seek help? All right. Can you get people whom you know? I know every family you have your best friends. You know, can you talk to them and come and talk to this man, all right? Get professional help. Then I think from there, we're able to dig into this man to be able to understand where did this problem come. Now, what you're saying, PTSD, is that yes, they went through post-traumatic disorder. There's a trauma they went through when they were young, all right? And through now the help of
triggers.
Exactly. And that's why you need professional, you know, because if you're not done psychology, you may not be able to understand this. You know, in psychology, there are those techniques and skills and theories we use, like Sigmund Freud, you know, psychoanalytic. You're able now to go back to this person past, and you're able now to go through with them the stages and undo and dig, you know, those wounds that were not sorted out, and then you're able now to bring help to this person. They're able not to overcome the trauma, and then they're able not to become productive in the family.
Wow.
Yes.
As a therapist, or rather as a psychologist, what are some of the solutions you can offer to all these people who've gone through SGBV, they're going through depression, you know, all this mental, I feel like mental illness is such a strong word. Mental, even disorder.
And unfortunately, that's
the
right
name. Because sometimes I feel like unajua mtu akiambiwa kuna mental illness when it's cheesy, you get. So I feel like it's such a strong word. But anyway, let me call them mental conditions. What are some of the solutions you can offer to most of these men who have these mental conditions? Akona post-traumatic stress disorder, akona depression, you know, all these things. What are some of the solutions you can offer to them?
Yes, you know, it is, we have to be honest with ourselves, all right? And now what you're trying to do, you're trying to sugarcoat it, you know, not calling it the way it is. And that's what, you know, the problem having the society, that people know when they hear those or they say, it's not a big problem, you know, but we need to tell them it is mental disorder. Yes, it's mental illness, you know, for them to be able to seek help. Now, the best thing for us to deal with this, you know, it's self-care, and we need to embrace that, you know, because if every one of us can understand how important our mental health is, then you're able now to appreciate this. You know, they say, you know, when you lose money, you lose nothing. When you lose your sanity, you lose everything. All right? What does that mean? That even if you are such a great man, you know, who is a millionaire, doing great things, who has potential, but then you're upstairs, you know, has a problem, that it means what? By the end of the day, you're going to lose everything. You know, and when you look at people out there and who know we are saying that we're cheesy, you know, because we tend to think, and we tend to think that maybe these people, they were bewitched, you know, these people, they were lifanyiwa maneno. But do we ever ask ourselves that once these people, they were just like us, and we can also be there, we can also be victim, you know. 10%, it is very high, you know.
Not special.
Exactly. So self-care is very important. Number one, you know, be able to understand where does your stress come from. What are your triggers, you know, and try to sort them out. If, for example, you're in a relationship, you're not married, and this person is giving you stress, expect more stress when you get married. All right. If this person has some signs that I know they have issues, you know, they are violent even before you get married, that means what? If this person you get married to, they shall have a bigger problem. Even to the married people, when you notice your partner has a problem, all right, and you just brush it off, you know, remember this can continue. Exactly, and now can become even bigger. It can cause a lot of problems. So understand what are your triggers, all right, and then try to solve them out. Number two solution to this, it is always important to keep your goals realistic. Your expectations realistic, you know. Some men believe that if it's either my way or the highway. If I don't achieve this, I am nothing. If I'm not able to pay my rent on time, I am nothing. If I'm not able to give my wife money whenever she asks, I'm nothing. If I'm not able to take my kids out or buy them whatever they want, I'm nothing. What does that mean? That means that the man, you know, will actually now have a problem, because not all the time he will have money. You know, sometimes it will happen that he doesn't have money.
There's something I was reading that was saying, as a human being, you're supposed to get rid of I should and embrace I may. Like, it's a must. You should. It's not you should. It's you may.
Exactly. Yes. And that's why we always tell men, it's not a matter of life and death. You know, this is how life is. Sometimes you lack, sometimes you'll have. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you'll miss it. It is never about life and death. You know, so when you don't have, accept that. You know, and keep your realistic, your expectation realistic. Imagine a young person, a young man who is 22, 23, 25. You know, he wants to drive a BMW, a V8. You know, he wants to have those mansions. And yet, you know, he's in campus, or he just has started just working. You know, what does that mean? This man will forever be stressed, and that will have another problem, right? So the other solution is that we need, as men, to seek help. Help is not help is not a sign of weakness. Let us know that. And I want to tell every man, it is not a sign of weakness for you to seek help.
Being vulnerable.
It is not. It is not a mistake. You know, let us embrace counseling. Let us go to the professions. Even the problem you have, it is quite small, and you can share it with a friend. Speak out to those men. I always say, you know, when you have so many friends, you know, you have a problem. You need to have few friends whom you can be honest to. Right? And you can be open to. Or you can hear a man say, no, I have so many friends. But when you ask them, who are these friends? You know,
how can they help you in the time of need?
Nothing, right? So you, as a man, you should always have one or two contacts of that guy, that man, that friend, that brother, you know, that you can go to and open up. You know, and I appreciate my friend Kagondo, because he's a buddy. You know, he's a brother. Exactly. You know, this man, we have come with him since primary school. You know, I know him. We went to the same university. I know this man, and therefore he's a brother to me. And therefore, whenever I have an issue and
can talk to him.
Anything, you know, and that helps me. He also does the same to me. And we're able not to live as men to be productive and to be healthy, especially in our minds. Yes.
Wow. Now that we have owned up, you have given us solutions. So you said seek therapy. Set realistic goals and expectations. You don't have to.
Exactly.
It's not a must.
It's not a must. Yes. Then of course the other thing is that our expectation realistic, and also understand the triggers that makes you feel that that leads you to stress or depression.
I want you to give us your final remarks as we close the show.
Thank you. Thank you. So I repeat again, like my friend Sakina Taki says in one of his books, that it is okay not to be okay. It is not a sign of weakness for a man to seek help. The reason why the rate of suicide is high amongst men is because of the stereotyping, because we believe that a man should not talk, man should not seek help. It is a waste of time, waste of money for you to go to a therapist and to sit there for him or her to listen to your problem. Remember, as you go to a doctor to treat you and you you sit there and they listen to you, and they're able to prescribe or the problem you have. The same thing that even a counseling psychologist has also gone to school, and they are there with a reason and for a reason.
They are mental doctors.
Exactly, yes. And you should go there and sit down with them and speak to them. All right. So the other thing is that let us be able to stand in the gap for our boy child. You know, those who are young, let us mentor them. Let us help them for them to become better men tomorrow. It starts from today. If we expose them to violence, they shall be violent. You know, if we don't give them attention that they require, if they don't correct them and guide them in the right way, tomorrow we shall have a problem as a society. So it is very important. That's why I'm so passionate. I get invitation to schools, you know, and churches and in organizations, companies, to be able to speak, you know, about this, that boy child need to be groomed, and the moment we are able to take care of this young man when he's young, we shall have a safer, a better society and healthier family in the future.
Wow. Mr. Paul,
yes.
Tutakupata wapi? Where do we get you?
All right, so my social handles is Paul Wangari on Facebook, and then other platform is Shaping Destinies. Paul Wangari on Facebook, other platform handles Shaping Destinies. That's the company I work with, you know, where we impact life and empower the youths. So that is, I also can get me in Dika, in my office. We're always there. When you DM me, then you're able to have a sitting, especially you as a man. Let us talk.
Come and get some therapy.
Yes.
Come and get that PTSD healed. Come and get that depression cured. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us.
It's an honor.
Not